Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. We're going to be talking about Social Squared today and how we can take Social Squared as a discussion board tool and add that tool to Microsoft SharePoint and also Microsoft Teams. So during the webinar, we're going to basically go through and do some live demonstrations of how discussion boards can be used and also get clear on what the requirement is or as to why you might want to have a discussion board inside your environment. And we'll also go through and take a look at some of the brand new features that version 3.5 that we've released this month contains, and there's quite a few features to go through that we've released this month. So hopefully you'll find that exciting if you're an existing customer, or also as somebody who just has an interest in using discussion boards inside of Teams and SharePoint. There will be an opportunity to ask questions. So you'll notice inside of the Zoom panel, you'll see that there's some Q&A screens. There's also a chat panel as well. So I've got this displayed on my second screen. So if you do want to post any questions, I'll make sure that I read those out when I get the opportunity to do so. And that may be sort of at a natural break towards the end of the demonstration. But feel free to post your question at any time, and I'll hopefully respond to it. So first of all, welcome, like I say, to the webinar. I'll just do a quick intro as to who I am and who we are as a company for anybody that's new to us. So we are a company called Lightning Tools, and Lightning Tools is a products company for Microsoft SharePoint and now, of course, Microsoft Teams as well. So we've been doing this for the last 15 years. We've been spotting gaps that are existing in SharePoint or Teams, and that's around things like permissions, around content aggregation, obviously discussions, which we're going to be looking at today, and discussion boards, but also some other tools as well, such as data integration and form design and that type of thing as well. We also have a sister company, and the sister company is called Enlightening, and Enlightening is an organization that provides coaching around Microsoft Power Platform and also SharePoint and Teams and so on. So what really sets that apart from other companies is it's not a training company, it's also not a consulting company. It's a company that will invest some time in understanding what your requirements are, what it is that you're trying to build in the Power Platform or inside of SharePoint, and we'll make sure that it's a really efficient way of learning, but also you doing with our guidance in order to be able to build your Power Platform application or to be able to build your SharePoint environment or Teams environment based on your organizational needs. So this is something that can be done in sort of 1 hour session blocks over a period of time. So yeah, website for that is enlightening.com if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. So yeah, Lightning Tools is what we're all about today, and specifically the discussion board tool that we'll be taking a look at. And like I say, we've got some other tools inside our portfolio as well. There are some webinars that are going to be coming up, so keep an eye on our webinar page, which is on lightningtools.com. If you go there, you'll see some of our previous webinars as well as the upcoming webinars that you can also register for. Okay, so the agenda, as I mentioned today, is an introduction to Social Squared. So for anybody that is new to Social Squared, not sure what it is, or obviously has a requirement for discussion boards and wants to see how Social Squared can help, that's basically what we're going to be taking a look at. So we'll have a look at why discussion boards might be useful inside of your organization, and how they can be used internally inside your organization. And of course, we'll take a look at Social Squared specifically and how that can be embedded into a SharePoint team site, or also used inside of a Microsoft Teams channel as well, so that your users can ask questions, they can brainstorm ideas and that type of thing within inside the platform that you've already invested in, and that is obviously Microsoft 365. And then, yeah, like I said, this month, October, we have released a new version, so 3.5 of Social Squared. So we'll be spending some time specifically taking a look at what's new. So if you are an existing customer of Social Squared, we will take a look at all those new features, and there's quite a few of them, as I mentioned, to go through. There is also a blog post that we wrote at the beginning of this month. So if you want to go onto lightningtools.com, click onto our blog page, you'll see that there's an article about all of the new features as well, so you can go through and have some written reference after this webinar has taken place. The webinar will also be recorded as well. So if you want to rewatch this or you don't get to stay to the end, feel free to come back onto lightningtools.com again, click onto webinars, and by the time I've uploaded this and so on, you should be able to sort of find that tomorrow-ish and watch that back. All right, so first of all, let's take a look at why discussion boards are helpful. And if we just forget Microsoft 365 for a moment, let's just forget our organizations and our business. It's amazing how many times we actually do use discussion boards. It may be that you've got a problem with your car, maybe that you're looking for a recipe, or you're looking for some legal advice. There's all sorts of forums out there on the internet that can serve us personally. There's a good example of one actually called thelaw.com, and we'll take a look at this in just a moment. But thelaw.com is all about, obviously, people asking questions, whether it's about a vehicle accident, whether it's human resource law, whether it's debt collection, whatever it might be. You can go through and post your question, and it's a community of legal people who are going to be responding to you. And the useful thing about this is you could either go through and post your question yourself, or first of all, you may actually do a search, which would perhaps be the most natural thing to do, to maybe say, yeah, what is the UK law, what is the US law around this particular subject? And before you even ask the question, somebody else has probably asked it in the past, and you can go through and read all of the responses. And rather than trying to make your own mind up as to what you think is the right answer to your question, hopefully there's been some lawyers out there, solicitors, whatever it might be, who have actually verified some of the answers that have been given, so they can use the sort of mark as answered feature in some of those threads. So that's really useful then, because you actually get to see what a legal representative confirms is the verified answer. And if that's not quite true, then it may be also the voting features and things like that as well, where people can vote up or vote down other people's replies. So what you're doing is getting help from a community of people and a community of experts usually. So let's just take a look at that. So I'm just going to jump into my page here, and we'll have a look at thelaw.com. So in here is thelaw.com /forum, and these are the different forum groups, and you'll see that we can expand and collapse those groups just like you can inside of Social Squared. So you can easily hide the bits and pieces that you're not interested in, or of course show them again. And if it was something to do with the lemon law, which is something in the US, I believe, I don't think that's relevant here in the UK, but if you purchased a car and that car is perhaps a Friday afternoon car or something, it's got lots of issues with it, it's referred to as a lemon. So we can go in there and see what the lemon law is all about. And of course, there's lots of people that have posted questions about this, and you can see how many replies each one's had, how many views, and so on. And I'll pick one of these at random, so we can go in here and see who originally posted that question, and then we get to see all of those different replies as well. And some of them, again, I just picked it at random, so I'm not sure, but one of them in here may also be marked as a sort of verified answer to that question. Okay, so that's sort of how that could work in a legal type environment. But we've also got the fact that we could use it for technical reasons as well. So in here you can see that I've just posted cannot join Teams meeting, and as soon as I've done a search on that, notice the #1 reply is actually coming from a tech community. So we can go into there, and we can see a post again that somebody created about not being able to join a Teams meeting, and perhaps what they're seeing with a screenshot and so on. And of course in here is a number of people that are perhaps Teams experts that are replying to that, and right at the very top here is the best response. So that's the verified answer. So that is exactly the type of thing that we can do inside of Social Squared in Teams, and also inside of SharePoint. So you can create the different forum groups to categorize the types of questions that may be asked by your employees, or whatever community is using that Teams environment, maybe guest users as well. You can also have your team of experts for each of those categories, maybe marked as moderators, so they can go through and verify answers. They can also govern the topics that are being created and the replies that are being created, and make sure that they are, you know, inside the right forums and not being posted in the wrong place, and that type of thing. And part of having discussion boards is about making that content easy to find. It's easy to search, it's easy to navigate, so we don't have to look too hard to actually find where we would go inside this forum to actually find anything about vehicles, because it's all under the same category. If it was bankruptcy law, then we know what forum to go to for that, and so on. So what you're not seeing is a continual thread of posts. And let's just take a look inside my Teams environment here as a sort of example of what I mean here. When you've got the posts tab inside a Teams channel, it's really, really useful for sort of back and forth communication amongst the team, especially in this climate where there's a lot of people working from home and that type of thing. It's excellent to have that sort of office type chat when you are working remotely and you're collaborating with your team members. But it's not a discussion board. It has obviously a use, which is, like I said, being able to communicate freely with people. But if we were to post a question in here, that question could be easily overlooked by somebody else also creating a new conversation. So you can see what's going on inside this thread, that somebody is basically, you know, announcing that they've just got into the office, they're just grabbing a coffee, they're going to join the marketing meeting, and somebody else has replied to say, yeah, see you there in the moment. They've also posted a screenshot of a booth design for a conference and trying to get feedback from that. And then somebody else has come in and said that there's a hard deadline for the advertisement for the collaborate. The Club magazine, and it's due tomorrow, and that completely got overlooked because somebody praised someone for bringing them a coffee, and then we start talking about lunch plans and things like that. So it can go off your screen. You may not have even noticed that somebody asked a question here saying that there's an important deadline. So of course there's the ability to search this thread as well, but yeah, this is not something that we regularly do unless we are really looking for something. And when you come up to the search here, I'm just going to give you an example of searching for the word SharePoint. So if I click onto the word SharePoint, you can see that we get a lot of results down on the left hand side, which I could filter. So we can come here to filters, we can choose a date range, we can choose whether it has me mentioned, and we can also choose the team that we want to focus on as well in order to look at that content. But there's environments inside our tenants where we've got hundreds or thousands of teams that we'd have to scroll through in order to select the right one. So it's not always that easy to go through and search this this message thread here. However, that search is very powerful. Just point that out. You'll notice here, if you just do the / inside the team search, then you get all sorts of useful things that you can do. You can call somebody very quickly. You can you know, set your status and that type of thing. So some very useful features in there. But actually being able to search the posts tab is quite difficult sometimes to find that right content. So instead of doing that, let's take a look at what Social Squared can offer with a discussion board. So a different way of working from using the posts tab. So we could use it for all sorts of reasons. One, maybe sort of brainstorming ideas with inside your department. And for that, we've got features such as voting. So you can vote up and vote down different ideas. You can like them, you can rate them, and that type of thing. It also provides a great platform for learning. So when somebody does post a question and there is an answer to that question that has been verified as the right answer, that doesn't just help the person that created that question in the first place. Just like the legal forum or any other forum that's out there on the internet, it continues to serve people as they join your organization. So as people are being onboarded in the future, they may search for that question. They can search the different forums, and it may be, you know, how do I reset my password, or how do I do something with payroll, or whatever it might be, and they're going to see the answers, and they're going to see what has been verified by a subject matter expert inside that department. So that's how we can begin to use that inside our organizations as structured conversations. And the same thing applies. You navigate to the appropriate forum where you want to ask that question, or you want to research an answer to that question. So over time, you're going to be building up this knowledge base of questions and answers or ideas and so on. And you can also collect valuable feedback as well through those discussions. And the key thing is they don't go out of context. They don't disappear off your screen because it's a chronological view or a feed that just continues. It's categorized into the different forum groups and forums, and that's what we'll see here as I go into this marketing example. So here under marketing, I've gone through and created an instance of Social Squared as a tab inside that general channel of the marketing team. And instead of just asking all these questions with regards to conferences, brochures, and swag, and so on, and again, having that go off the screen through the feed, we're actually capturing it in this organized way of collecting it into forum groups and forums. So just like the law.com, you can expand, collapse the different forum groups to make it contextual. We can also add some of these forum groups to other channels that may appear inside the same team and have it focus on each of these different sections as well. And we've also got the forums that are collecting the posts against those different subjects. So as we go into the swag forum, for example, there's just one topic in there. It's about the beanie. So here's a bit of a preview. I'm waiting on delivery of these beanie hats in time for winter. Yeah, there's somebody just posting about that and wanting feedback on that beanie hat. We've also got some other forums where people can gather feedback about things like the website. So you'll see here there's website plans for 2022, and we can see that there's a post there asking for ideas. So the great thing about this is that that's not going to disappear from that forum. It's going to be here through 2022, so we can actually keep referring to it and we don't lose sight of all of the ideas that we've collected. Okay, so that's the whole sort of purpose for organizing the content in that way. And from the search capabilities, you can search in the top here. So if we wanted to search on the word beanie, that will take us straight to that post. So we can go through and see that. There may be other posts as well that are coming back. So I could, for example, search for the word website, and when you've got more posts, this is how it will appear. So we can go through and view each of these topics and reply to them if need be. Okay, so we've got the search, and the search therefore is not just searching across all of the teams, it's contextual and searching within inside this instance of Social Squared. Okay, so that's how we can use search. We can also use tags in order to find our content. So you'll notice in here we've got some different tags that people have used to tag their posts with. So the word website gets mentioned a lot. So as I click onto website here, you can see that there's 3 different topics that have been created with that, and we've got 2 of them that I've not read, so I can go through, select those, and reply to them if I want to. Okay, so that's how easy it is to find the content. Now, if I wanted to actually create my own topic, we would go through and create it in the most appropriate way. So if there's a question that I had about, let's say, pay-per-click, I can go into here and add a new topic. And in here, I could start typing my subject. So what is the Lightning Tools budget for PPC ads? Okay, and I can just elaborate on that in the rich text here and say, I'm creating a new ad. What is our daily budget? Okay, so that's how we can go through and create the post, and you've got the ability to add images and highlight keywords and things like that, so we can really sort of draw attention to some of that content. We've got motion icons and that type of thing that we can also use. When we are posting, a feature that you can turn on or turn off is the ability to post anonymously as well. So if you want to be able to ask a question without anybody knowing your identity, that's something that you can do if you've enabled that feature. We can also be automatically subscribed, which is useful. So that's something I can turn on or turn off, but it's turned on by default. And that means that I'm going to be notified either via Teams or via email should somebody reply to my post. So I'm immediately drawn in when somebody does respond to me. I don't have to keep going and checking back. Now, in order to add the tags, we can freely add tags in here. So I can type in the PPC, which would be a useful one to select. We could also add the word website. and so on as well. Now you'll notice these are actually already tags that have been used, and sometimes these also get suggested as well. So if I was to maybe that wasn't a tag, but if I start to type some content that has already been associated with a tag, then that also may be suggested to me as well, and I can go through and select that tag. All right, so that's how we can create the new topic. So we're just going to go through and add that. And to save switching users continually, I'm just going to reply to myself here. I quite often do that anyway, but yeah, I'm just going to grab some content to use as a reply. Okay, so I've got some content, so I'm just going to respond to that question, and it's a long-winded question, as you can see, and I may just copy an image and so on as well and paste that in. Oops, that one didn't quite work, just bear with me. Maybe it doesn't like that image. But anyway, we can drop in an image, as you've already seen with the beanie, into a post as well, and we can position that and so on. So yeah, there's the tag suggestions working as well, because this contains the word advertising somewhere, and we've already had a tag for the word advertising, so that's where I can go through and select that, and that will make it easy for people to find this post as well. So there's our response to that. Now, as the original topic creator, when they get their notification, they're drawn back in, they can read the reply, and if this answered their question, which actually it doesn't, somebody else may have come in and said it's $10 a day, and that is the response I was looking for, so an actual specific amount. The topic creator can actually go through and mark that as answered. This is the verified answer. So anybody else that's reading this post has this question in the future, they can see that, yeah, this is the answer that I was looking for. You can filter out all of the noise as well. So when I come in here, I can say, just show me the answer posts, or if there's more than one, they'll also show as well. So we can jump in and see that type of content. Okay, so the other feedback that we've got is things like likes. We've got voting. I can't vote my own up, and we've also got ratings as well that we can provide to that. So all of that is going to continually serve the people that are creating these posts. So that's one example of using Social Squared. Another example is as a sort of technical support type forum. So you'll notice in here I've got another team called Technical Support, and in here we've got all of the different products and categories of those products that are perhaps being supported. So under Teams, as a forum group, we've got Teams channels and Teams meetings. Under Planner, there's just a general. Under programming languages, we've got JavaScript and Rust, and so on. So as we go into those, you'll see that this is another way of using Social Squared, not just for brainstorming ideas, but maybe for actually collecting ideas or answers to specific questions. Okay, so there's like I say, a couple of examples of using that. Now, when you're in Social Squared, you'll notice that there's a number of different views down on the left-hand side as well. So we already saw the tag view, so we can jump straight to different posts. There's one that contains the word spam and so on, so we can get to those quite easily and use those tags to navigate the content. We've also got above that, there's unanswered topics, which is actually one of the new features that we've launched this month. So when you do create a post that is a question and nobody has responded to it, or somebody has responded to it and you didn't mark it as answered, these actually get highlighted. So you can see there's quite a few here. So as a moderator, I might decide to go in and mark those as answered myself, or try to encourage the topic creator to go through and mark them as answered if it did answer the question. And you can do that easily by using the people card. So if I want to be able to communicate with somebody that had created the post, I can do an instant chat with them and that type of thing as well, which is often useful as a moderator. We can also focus in on users' posts. So if I wanted to take a look at one of the users that has been posting, we can do a search for a username and hit view, and that will bring back whatever posts they created. And one of the other things I can do, if I like the type of questions that these people are posting, is actually go through and follow that user as well. And that way, I'm not just getting notified based on somebody replying to a topic that I'm subscribed to, but I'm also getting notified when this particular user posts in the future. So they could post in any of the forums, and I'll be notified that they just posted. And we can go through and see who's following us and who we're following through the followers view as well. So you can see here I'm following demo user 6 and demo user 5, and nobody's following me. It's because I just reply to myself all the time. So there's the followers, and there's some other views as well, such as the recent activities. So we can see all the recent posts and replies and things like that have been created. We've also got the popular topics as well, that's based on the number of views and the number of replies. And we've also got a favorites view, where you can view any posts that you marked as your favorites. So if there was something that I've read and I want to come back to, then I can just simply go through and mark that as my favorite. It will appear in my favorites view, and then I can go back and read these at a later point. Okay, so that's how Social Squared works to an end user. What I'm going to do is just show you how we can easily set up this type of environment before we jump into the new features by creating a new team. So I'm going to go through and create a brand new team here from scratch. And actually, if I just jump back a moment, you'll notice there's different types of templates that you can use for your teams as well. So one of them is actually used in here for onboarding people, onboard employees. So we could use that, and that has a number of tabs that are useful. And I'm actually going to create one from scratch myself that is along those same lines by creating a public forum that people can join that is called Employee Onboarding. And we can describe what this team is going to be all about. Go ahead and create it. And I'm just going to skip adding members to it. It would just be me at the moment. And you'll notice at the top here, we can go through and add Social Squared as a tab. So it's appearing in here because I've added it to the catalog. We can then add that tab to our Teams channel. So we get the tab created. And what's going on here is there's a number of different lists being created in the back end. So as you probably know, every single team you create creates a underlying SharePoint site, and inside that underlying SharePoint site is a number of lists that contain the posts and the configuration, the properties that you set in this Social Squared instance. The good thing about that is it means that none of this content is actually going outside of your tenant, which is quite a common question that we get asked. Nothing's being processed outside of your tenant, but also it's secured based on the people that have access to the team or to the SharePoint site. So only those people that are members or can read the site basically have the ability to read that content. So in here, we've got a blank instance of Social Squared for this brand new team, and I can click onto the forum settings because I'm the team owner, and I can start to add different forum groups. So the forum groups I'm going to create for employee onboarding is a nice sort of community talk forum group. And inside that community talk forum group, I'm going to add some forums, and those forums might be things like introduce yourself. Okay, so anybody that's new can announce who they are, what role they're going to do, that type of thing. And we can also go through and set up who our moderator is going to be as well. So they will be able to moderate these posts, remove anything that's irrelevant, or move those topics between different forums and that type of thing. There's a couple of refinements when you're using moderators as well. So do we want to approve every single post before it gets displayed, or do we allow people to post freely, but you could take it down as the moderator? Okay, so that's the first one created. I'm also just going to go through and create a water cooler discussions, so people can just chat about anything, just to say you are stood by the water cooler in the corridor, and we can go through and add that one as well. So that's how we can basically go through and define each of these forum groups and the forums so that people can start to communicate in a structured manner inside the Teams channels. You'll also notice there's a number of different properties that you can set. Again, I get to do this as the team owner. So there's things like the notifications in Teams. So if we want Teams notifications, or if we want email notifications when you subscribe to a post or subscribe to a forum. The enable anonymous posting was the one that we pointed out earlier. So that's something you can switch on or switch off. And we've also got sort of rolling content that we can display as well. So maybe if the forum is the type of forum where content becomes irrelevant after a certain period of time, for example, the marketing one, when you're planning your website for the following year, maybe in 2023, a lot of the 2022 comments are not going to be relevant anymore. So we can go through and just display a rolling year's worth of content. And there's other refinements as well, such as pagination refinements and tagging and things like that you can turn on and turn off for each of those instances of Social Squared. Okay, so that's going through and establishing a new instance. We're just going to jump back to the marketing one for a moment as well, where we talk about some of these brand new features that we're going to be or have announced this month. So Social Squared, just as a sort of recap, it is a discussion board app. You can use it in Microsoft SharePoint as well as Microsoft Teams. And just to point that out to you, if I jump back into SharePoint here, you can see these Teams discussions. This is the technical support forum group that we saw. And I could add a brand new topic here. And we're just going to do that. So inside the SharePoint instance, I'm going to go through and add a brand new topic. And you'll notice that when we go to the technical support Social Squared instance inside of Teams, that topic is here inside of Teams as well. It's basically giving you the ability to cross-post and find posts, whether you're in SharePoint or whether you're inside Teams, because they're both using the same underlying lists and libraries. So yeah, you're getting this organized content inside there, as you've seen, the ability to easily navigate and search and use it inside of SharePoint or Teams with your existing security. So those people that can already access your team will be able to access your forum as well. Okay, so we had a look at the demonstration. The new features, let's focus in on that. So like I said, there's some brand new features that we're launching. So one of them here is suggested topics. One of the things you see quite a lot in discussion forums is people asking the same question again and again. So if we come into the marketing instance again, for example, maybe somebody else has noticed that we're getting a lot of spam comments on our website. So when we go into the website forum, maybe they've not taken the time to actually go through and search, first of all, for the word spam. They've just gone straight in, added a new topic. And if they start including the word spam, you can see here that we're now seeing another post as a suggestion. And I can say, oh, actually, that's exactly the same question that I was about to ask. So I can now click onto that. And instead of creating my own post, I can actually reply to this one and say, I was going to ask that too. Or whatever. And we can basically reply with that nature. So yeah, that's a great way of sort of avoiding duplicated content. And it's the same sort of thing with, maybe somebody asks, how do I reset my password, when somebody else has already asked that question inside the tech support forum. Social Squared is going to suggest there's a similar looking post to the one that you're about to create and point me in that direction. Okay, so that's one of the new features that we've got in this month. Now we've also got support for managed metadata as well. So if you're not familiar with managed metadata, what you can do inside of SharePoint and have been able to do for a long time is create a term set. So a term set can describe all the terms inside your business. If we take Walmart as an example, inside of Walmart, you sell groceries, you sell electronics, you sell clothing, that type of thing. So these could be sort of terms that we use quite regularly inside of Walmart. And if we look at electronics, there's televisions, there's game consoles, there's all sorts of things in there that we could tag. And there's also under clothing, there's men's clothing, there's ladies' clothing, there's children's clothing. And of course, under groceries, there's fruit and vegetables and that type of thing. So these can all be terms that you can create as your organizational term store. And that can now be used inside of Social Squared to tag your content. So you're not necessarily having to use the tags that people are freely tagging, just in the same way that we'd use a hashtag. We can actually tell Social Squared that we want to use the organizational or local term store. So the way that we would do that is coming down to, sorry, I think I scrolled by it. So coming down to the enabled term set picker for tagging, and if we turn that on, we can now go through and select our term set. So in here, there's a Lightning Tools demo terms. So I could go through and select that one and hit save. And so now when we create a topic, I no longer get to choose or tag freely. I select here from the Lightning Tools term set. So I could use just these examples of topic 1 and topic 2, and these become the tags that I'm going to be tagging my content with. So it's a much better way of organizing those tags and making sure that we don't get two different spellings of the same thing, or abbreviations, typos, and that type of thing when we're tagging content. So it's giving some great uniformity to those tags as we use them. There is also a Meet on this topic feature now. So great integration with Teams. As I go into one of the topics, we'll bring up this website plans for 2022. So in this particular post, somebody's wanting to gather some thoughts on website improvements, and can everybody provide some suggestions? So I'm actually going to provide a suggestion that we don't just have a discussion about this, but we actually have a meeting about it. So I'm going to reply to that one, and in here we'll just say, I think it would be a good idea to have a brainstorming meeting on this subject. And what I can do is tell Social Squared to create that meeting. So in here we'll have website 2022 planning, and we can choose when that date and time is going to be. And we can notify in the Teams channel, so people know that that event is going to be taking place. And we can create the Teams event as an online meeting as well. And when I hit reply to that, notice that anybody reading this thread can now actually join that Teams meeting. And of course, we could post the recording here as well, and that type of thing if we wanted to as well. So that actually becomes useful for people to go through and watch. I'm just going to like that because that was a good idea. So yeah, that's the type of thing there that we can do with that meeting integration and the meet on this topic. Another new feature we have is conditional sticky posts. So we've always had sticky posts. What a sticky post is just something that we feel is perhaps the most relevant post for a forum, or maybe it's that first post that you create when you create the forum that describes how to use the forum, what you're expecting from people, what types of questions they should be asking, and that type of thing. So again, I'm going to use that same post about the website plans for 2022 because that's quite an important post in the website. And as you can already see, it's number 3 in line because other people have been posting new things since then. So I want this one to stick to the top. So I'm going to select that one, and we're going to click onto sticky to make it sticky. And that would have been all we needed to do in the previous build of Social Squared. But now we can either just make it sticky, or we can actually say for a period of time or for a certain number of views. So of course, we're going to have finished our planning by the end of this year. So what we can do is just jump to December, and that's how long this is going to remain sticky for. After that time, it's going to fall in line with the chronological order of those posts. An argument for using it for a number of views would be that type of post that you're creating telling people how to use the forum. If we know we've only got 50 members inside our team and we've had 50 views, there's a good argument for actually not displaying it anymore at the top of the forum. So you could just set it for the number of views instead if you wanted to, or that predefined time. So that is now a sticky post until the 31st of December, where it will automatically fall in line inside that particular forum. You can see it's been pinned there as sticky. And if I just reload my page for a moment, that would have periodically refreshed, but I'm just going to force it. And so back into the website forum, you can see there that has been pinned to the top and will remain there. And you can have multiple sticky posts as well. It would just be, again, falling into chronological order, but always at the top of that forum. So the unanswered topics view is another new feature. So as well as providing feedback using the different icons on what's been answered and what has not been answered, as you saw, this is the little green symbol, so that we can see that this post has been successfully answered, that the author is happy with the response. But what we can do is just go through and see a list of all of those that have not been answered yet. So this is a great thing, as I mentioned, you could do as a moderator, and you could go into some of these and see whether it's been answered or not. If it has been answered and you as the moderator, the subject matter expert, are happy with that, then you could, as the moderator, go through and mark it as answered as well on the topic creator's behalf. So it's just a good way of making sure that that content is being marked in the appropriate way. Now you can pin a view now, which is also useful. So along the left-hand side here, we've got all of these different views, and depending on the type of role that you do, if you're somebody asking questions, this view in itself is probably going to be the most useful one. But if you're a subject matter expert and you're coming in and replying to people, then it might be that the recent activities is the best one. So you're seeing the newest posts being created at the top, regardless as to what forum they were created in. So if that's the most useful one for me, I can go through and pin it. So what that means is basically when I go back to this view, it's always going to take me straight to the recent activities view, and that's going to be my sort of default view for Social Squared, and I can go through and reply to people through here and easily see those posts that have been read or not. All right, so that's another sort of new feature, and then we've also got sorting options as well now. So if we jump into a thread, and for this, I'm just going to jump into one where there's more content. So inside my technical support forum under Teams channels, we can see, I'm going to pick on this one, it's got 4 replies. So in here we've got the view of the posts is in chronological order, but what I might want to do is just change that to order it by featured or answered posts, or the number of likes, the number of votes, who the author was, and so on. So you can see here some of these have been actually marked as answered. So that might be what I'm looking for here, and putting it into the answered view. So all of my answered topics are at the top, and then the rest are in chronological order after that. Or if we are using voting, like you can see here, where we can vote up or vote down, we could use that as well as our sorting. So yeah, that's another way of sort of viewing your posts and being able to find that content more easily. Okay, so these are the biggest new features. There's a few other things as well that we've included. So around subscriptions is a good improvement also. So when you do subscribe, you can subscribe yourself to a topic or to a forum. But what I can also do is go through and subscribe other users as well, either at the topic level or at the forum level. And in here we can go through and now choose groups of people and so on to be subscribed. So actually subscribing the entire Microsoft 365 forum group, and we've got a people picker for selecting users as well that you may want to subscribe. So if I wanted to subscribe a bunch of users in here, we can go through and add those and remove them as well if we want to. Okay, so that kind of concludes the new features. So hopefully you'll find those useful. If you're new to Social Squared and this is the first time you've seen it and you want to trial it, kick tires on it, what you can do is download it. So you can go to lightningtools.com and under products and then Social Squared, you're going to see that you've got an option there for a 30-day trial. So if you did want to download it, you can, or you can also arrange a private demonstration. So I try to keep my demonstrations generic, but if you've got a very specific way of wanting to use Social Squared, we can create a demonstration around that scenario. So you know, if you wanted to have a private demonstration, see how it might work for your needs, then feel free to book that private demo. We'll be happy to do that. And of course, there's the future webinars as well, as I mentioned, that you can get to by going to lightningtools.com/webinars. So I'm going to open up for questions. If you have any questions, you could put them in the channel in the Q&A tab, or use the chat window. So at the moment, I'm not seeing any questions. All right, well, I think that's quite unusual, but yeah, what I'm going to do then is direct you to either sales@lightningtools.com. If you have any questions and you want to ask them there, feel free to do so, or you can reach out to me on brett@lightningtools.com, and I'll be able to answer any questions there. But for now, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you.